Goosebumps, Piano Lessons Can Be Murder by R.L.STINE, part-2, chapter 4. Monday morning, I woke up very early. My cat clock with the moving tail and eyes wasn't unpacked yet, but I could tell it was early by the pale grey light coming through my bedroom window. I got dressed quickly, pulled on a clear pair of faded jeans and a dark green pullover shirt that wasn't too wrinkled. It was my first day at my new school, so I was pretty excited. I spent more time on my hair than I usually do. My hair is brown and thick and wiry, and it takes me a lot of time to slick it down and make it lie flat the way I like it. When I finally got it right, I made my way down the hallway to the front stairs. The house was still silent and dark. I stopped outside the attic door. It was wide open. Huh? Hadn't I closed it when I'd come downstairs with my dad? Yes, I remember shutting it tight, and now it was wide open. I felt a cold chill on the back of my neck. I closed the door, listening for the click. Jerry, take it easy. I want myself. Maybe the latch is loose. Maybe the attic door always swings open. It's an old house, remember? I'd been thinking about the piano music. Maybe it was a wide wind blow through the piano strings, I told myself. Maybe there was a hole or something in the attic window, and the wind blew in and made it sound as if the piano I was playing. I wanted to believe it had been the wind that made the slow, sad music. I wanted to believe it, so I did. I checked the attic door one more time, making sure it was latched, then headed down to the kitchen. Mom and Dad were still in their room. I could hear them getting dressed. The kitchen was dark and a little cold. I wanted to turn up the furnace, but I didn't know where the thermostat was. Not all of our kitchen stuff had been unpacked. Our tins were still stacked against the wall, filled with glasses and plates and stuff. I heard someone coming down the hallway. A big empty cartoon beside the refrigerator gave me an idea. Snickering to myself, I jumped inside it and pulled the lid over me. I held my breath and waited. Footsteps in the kitchen. I couldn't tell if it was Mom or Dad. My heart was pounding. I continued to hold my breath. If I didn't, I knew I would burst out laughing. The footsteps were right past my cartoon to the sink. I heard water running. Whoever it was filled the kettle. Footsteps to the stove. I couldn't wait anymore. Surprise! I screamed and jumped to my feet in the cartoon. Dad let out a startled shriek and dropped the kettle. It landed on his foot with a thud, then tilted on its side of the floor. Water particled around Dad's feet. The kettle rolled towards the stove. Dad was howling and holding his injured foot and hopping up and down. I was laughing like a maniac. You should have seen the look on Dad's face when I jumped up from the cartoon and thought he was going to drop his teeth. Mom came bursting into the room, still buttoned her sleeve cuffs. "What's going on in here?" she cried.
"Just Jerry and his stupid jokes,"
Dad grumbled. Jeremy! Jeremy! Mom shouted, seeing all the spilled water and give me a break! Just trying to help wake you up, I said, grinning. They complained a lot, but they used to my twisted sense of humor. I heard the piano music again that night. It was definitely not the wind. I recognized the same sad melody. I listened for a few moments. It came from right above my room. Who's up there? Who can be playing? I asked myself. I started to climb out of my bed and investigate. But it was cold in my room, and I was really tired from my first day at the new school. So I pulled the cover over my head to drop out the piano music and quickly fell asleep. Did you hear the piano music last night? Did you hear the piano music last night? I asked Mom. Eat your cornflakes, she replied. She tightened the belt of her bathrobe and leaned towards me over the kitchen table. How come I have cornflakes? I grumbled, mushing the spoon around in the bowl. You know the rules, she said, frowning. Junk cereal only on weekends. Stupid rule, I muttered. I think cornflake is a junk cereal. Don't give me a hard time, Mom complained, rubbing her template. I have a headache this morning. I had a headache this morning. From the piano last night, I asked. What piano playing? She demanded irritably. Would you keep talking about piano? Didn't you hear it? The piano in the attic? Someone was playing it last night. She jumped to her feet. Oh, Jerry, please, no jokes this morning, okay? I told you, I have a headache. Did I hear you talking about the piano? Dad came into the kitchen, carrying the morning newspaper. The guys are coming this afternoon to carry it down to the family. He smiled at me. Remember those fingers, Jory. Mom had walked over to the counter to pour herself a cup of coffee. Are you really interested in this piano? She demanded, eyeing me skeptically. Are you really going to practice and work on it? Of course, I replied. Maybe. The two piano movers were there when I got home from school. They weren't very big and they were strong. I went up to the attic and watched them while Mom pulled curtains out of the family room to make a place for it. The two men used ropes and special kinds of dolly. They tilted the piano onto its side and then hoisted it onto the dolly. Lowering it down the narrow staircase was really hard. It bumped against the wall several times, even though they moved slowly and carefully. Both movers were really red-faced and sweaty by the time they got the piano downstairs. I followed them as they rolled it across the living room, then through the dining room. Mom came out of the kitchen, her hands jammed into her jeans pocket, and watched from the doorway. As they rolled the dolly with the piano into the family room, the man straightened to tilt it right side up. The black polished wood really glowed in the bright afternoon sunlight through the family room window. Then, as they started to lower the piano to the floor, Mom opened her mouth and started to scream. Chapter 5. The cat! The cat! Mom shrieked, her face all twisted in alarm. Sure enough, Bonkers was standing right in the spot where they were lowering the piano. The piano thudded heavily to the floor. Bonkers ran out from under it just in time. Too bad, I thought, shaking my head. That dumb cat almost got what it deserved. The men were apologizing as they tried to catch their breath, mopping their forehead with the red and white. Mom ran to Bunker and picked her up. My poor little kitty! Of course, Bunker whipped at Mom's arms, the claws tearing out several threads in the sweater sleeve. Mom dropped her to the floor and the creature slithered quickly out of the room. She's a little freaking out, being in a new house, Mom told the two workers. She's always act like that, I told them. A few moments later, the movers were gone. Mom was in her room, trying to fix her sweater, and I was alone in that family room with my piano. I sat on the bench and slid back and forth on it. The bench was polished and smooth. It was really slippery. I planned a really funny comedy act where I sit down to play the piano for Mom and Dad. Only the bench is so slippery I kept slipping right onto the floor. I practiced sliding and falling for a while. I was having fun. Falling is one of my hobbies. It isn't as easy as it looks. After a while, I got tired of falling. I just sat on the bench and started at the keys. I tried picking out a song, hitting notes until I found the right ones. I started to get excited about learning to play the piano. I imagined it was going to be fun. I was wrong, very wrong. Saturday afternoon, I stood staring out the living room window. It was a blustery, grey day. It looked like it was going to snow. I saw the piano teacher walk up the driveway. He was right on time, 2 o'clock. Pressing my face against the window, I could see that he was big, kind of fat. He wore a long, puffy red coat and he had bushy white hair. From this distance, he sort of looked like Santa Claus. He walked very stiffly as if his knees were good as a string. Or I guess Dad had found his name in a tiny ad in the back of the new Goshen newspaper. He showed it to me. It said, "The Shriek School. The new method piano training." Since it was the only ad in the paper for a piano teacher, Dad called it, and now Mom and Dad were greeting the teacher at the door and taking his heavy red coat.
"Sorry, this is Miss Dr. Shriek,"
Dad said, mentioning for me to leave my place by the window. Dr. Shriek smiled at
"Hello, Jerry."
He really did look like a Santa Claus, except he had a white mustache, no beard. He had round red cheek and a friendly smile, and his blue eyes sort of twinkled as he greeted me. He wore a white shirt that was coming tucked around his big belly and baggy gray pants. I stepped forward and shook hands with him. His hands was red and kind of spongy. "Nice to meet you, Dr. Shriek," I said politely. Mom and Dad grinned at each other They could never believe it when I was polite. Dr. Shriek got his spongy hands on my shoulder.
I know I have a funny name,
He said, chuckling.
I probably should change it, but you have to admit it's a real attention getter.
We all laughed. Dr. Creek's expression turned serious.
Have you ever played an instrument before, Jerry?
I thought hard. Well, I had a kazoo once. Everyone laughed again.
The piano is a little more difficult than a kazoo,
Dr. Shriek said, still chuckling.
Let me see your piano.
I led him through the dining room and into the family room. He walked stiffly, but it didn't seem to slow him down. Mom and Dad excused themselves and disappeared upstairs to do more unpacking. Dr. Shriek studied the piano key. Then he lifted the back and examined the strings with his eyes.
Very fine instrument,
He murmured.
very fine.
We found it here, I told him. His mouth opened in a little O of surprise.
You found it?
In the attic, someone just left it up there, I said.
How strange,
He replied, rubbing his pudgy chin. He straightened his white mustache as he stared at the keys.
Don't you wonder who played this piano before you?
He said softly.
Don't you wonder whose fingers touched these keys?
Well, I really don't know what to say.
What a mystery,
He said in a whisper. Then he motioned for me to take a seat on the piano bench. I was tempted to do my comedy act and slide right off onto the floor, but I decided I'd save it for when I knew him better. He seemed like a nice, jolly kind of guy, but I didn't want him to think I wasn't serious about learning to play. He dropped down beside me on the bench. He was so wide there was barely room for the two of us. Will you give me lessons here at home every week? I asked, quoting or as far as I could to make room.
I'll give you lessons at home first,
he replied. His blue eyes twinkled at me.
Then, if you show promise, Jerry, you can come to my school.
I started to say something, but he grabbed my hands.
Let me take a look,
he said, raising my hands close to his face. He turned them over and studied both sides. Then he carefully examined my fingers.
What beautiful hands,
he exclaimed breathlessly.
Excellent hands.
I stared down at my hands. They didn't look like anything special to me, just normal hands.
Excellent hands,
Dr. Shriek repeated. He placed them carefully on the piano keys. He showed me what each note was, starting with C, and he had me playing with each note with the correct finger.
Next week we'll start,
he told me, climbing up from the piano bench.
I just wanted to meet you today.
He searched through a small bag he had learned against the wall. He pulled out a workbook and handed it to me. It was called Beginning to Play, a hand-on approach.
Look this over, Jory. Try to learn the notes on page 2 and 3.
He made his way over to his coat, which Dad had draped over the back of the couch. See you next Saturday, I said. I felt a little disappointed that the lesson had been so short. I thought I'd be playing some great rock riffs by now. He pulled on his coat, then came back to where I was sitting.
I think you'll be an excellent student, Jory,
he said, smiling. I muttered, thanks. I was surprised to see his eyes had settled on my hands.
Excellent, excellent,
he whispered. I felt a sudden chill. I think it was hungry expression on his face. What was so special about my hands, I wondered. Why does he like them so much? It was weird, definitely weird, but of course, I didn't know how weird. Chapter 6. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. C, D, F, G, A, B, C. I practiced the notes on page 2 and 3 of the piano workbook. The book showed which finger to use and everything. This is easy, I thought. So when can I start with some rock and roll? I was still picking out notes and Mom served from the basement and took her head into the family room. Her hair had come loose from the she had tied around her head, and she had dirty smudges on her forehead. Did Dr. Shriek leave already? She asked, surprised. Yeah, he said he wanted to meet me, I told her. He is coming back next Saturday. He said I had excellent hands. You do? She brushed the hair off her eyes. Well, maybe you can take those excellent hands down to the basement and use them to help us unpack some boxes. Oh no, I cried, and I slid off the piano bench and fell to the floor. She didn't laugh. That night, I heard piano music. I sat straight up in bed and listened. The music floated up from downstairs. I climbed out of bed. The floorboards were cold under my bare feet. I was supposed to have a carpet, but Dad hadn't time to put it down yet. The house was silent. Through my bedroom window, I could see a gentle snow coming down. Tiny, fine flakes grey against the black sky. Someone is playing the piano, I said aloud, startled by the thickness of my sleep-filled voice. Someone is downstairs playing my piano. Mom and Dad must hear it, I thought. Their room is the far end of the house, but they were downstairs. They must hear it. I crept to my bedroom. The same slow, sad melody I had been humming it just before dinner. Mom had asked me where I'd heard it, and I couldn't remember. I leaned against the doorframe, my heart pounding and listening. The music drifted up so clearly I could hear each note. Who was playing? Who? I had to find out. Trailing my hands along the wall, I hurried through the dark hallway. There was a night light by the stairway, but I was always forgetting to turn it on. I made my way to the stairs, then gripped the wooden banister tightly. I crept down, one step at a time, trying to be silent, trying not to scare the piano player away. The wooden stairs creaked quietly under my weight, but the music continued, soft and sad, almost mournful, tiptoeing and holding my breath. I crossed the living room. A straight light cast a wash of pale yellow across the floor. Through the large front window, I could see the tiny snowflakes drifting down. I nearly tripped over an unpacked carton of vases left next to the coffee table, but I grabbed the back of the couch and kept myself from falling. The music stopped, then started again. I leaned against the couch, waiting for my heart to stop pounding so hard. Where are Mom and Dad? I wondered, staring towards the back hallway where their rooms was. Can't they hear the piano too? Aren't they serious? Don't they wonder who in the family room in the middle of the night playing such a sad song? I took a deep breath and pushed myself away from the couch. Slowly, silently, I made my way through the dining. It was dark back there, no light from the street. I moved carefully, aware of all the chairs and tables legs that could trip me up. The door to the family room stood just a few feet ahead of me. The music grew louder. I took a step, then another. I moved into the open doorway. Who is it? Who is it? I peered into the darkness, but before I could see, someone uttered a horrifying shriek behind me, showed me hard, pushing me down to the floor. Chapter 7. I hit the floor hard on my knees and elbows. Another loud shriek, right in my ears. My shoulders stopped with pain. The light came on. Bonkers! I roared. The cat leaped off my shoulders and scurried out of the room. Jerry! Jerry! What are you doing? What's going on? Mom demanded angrily as she ran into the room.
What's all the racket?
Dad was right behind us, squinting hard without his glasses. Mongoose jumped on me! I screamed, still on the floor. Oh, my shoulders, that stupid cat! Oh, Jerry! Mom started. She bent to help me pull me up. That stupid cat, I foamed. She jumped down from the shelf. She scared me to death, and look at my pajama shirt. The cat claws had ripped right through the shoulder. Are you cut? Are you bleeding? Mom asked, pulling the shirt collar down to examine my shoulder.
We really have to do something about that cat,
Dad muttered.
Jerry is right, she's a menace.
Mom immediately jumped to Bongo's defense. She was just frightened, that's all. She probably thought Jerry was a burglar. A burglar? I shrieked in a voice so high only dogs could hear me. How could she think I was a burglar? Aren't cats supposed to see in the dark? Well, what were you doing down here, Jerry? Mom asked, straightening my pajama shirt collar. She patted my shoulder as if that would help. Yeah.
Why were you skulking around down here?
Dad demanded, squinting hard at me. He could barely see a thing without his glasses. I wasn't shrinking around, I replied angrily. I heard piano music and... You watch! Mom interrupted. I heard piano music in the family room, so I came down to see who was playing. My parents were both staring at me as if I were a martyr. Didn't you hear it? I cried. They shook their heads. I turned to the piano. No one there, of course. I hurried over to the bench. leaned down and rubbed my hands over the surface. It was warm. Someone was sitting here, I can tell, I exclaimed. Not funny, Mom said, making a face.
Not funny, Jory.
Dad echoed.
You came down here to make some jokes, didn't you?
He accused. Huh? Me? Don't play innocent, Jeremy, Mom said, rolling her eyes. You know you're never innocent. I wasn't playing a joke, I cried angrily. I heard music someone playing.
Who?
Dad demanded.
Who was playing?
Maybe it was bunkers, Mom joked. Dad laughed, but I didn't. What was a joke,
Cherry? What were you planning to do?
Dad asked. Were you going to do something to the piano? Mom demanded, staring at me so hard I could practically feel it. That's horrible instrument, you know, I said wearily. I felt so frustrated I wanted to shout, scream, throw a fit and maybe slug them both. This piano is haunted, I shouted. The words just popped into my head.
Huh?
It was Dad's turn to give me a hard stare. It must be haunted, I insisted. I was shrinking. It keeps playing, but there's no one playing it. I've heard enough, Mom muttered, shaking her head. I'm going back to bed.
Ghost, huh?
Dad asked, rubbing his chin thoughtfully. He stepped up to me and lowered his head the way he does when he's about to unload something serious.
Listen, Jory, I know this house might seem old and kind of scary, and I know how hard it was for you to leave your friends behind to move away.
Dad, please, I interrupted, but he kept going.
This house is just old, Jory, old and a little run down, but that doesn't mean it's haunted. These ghosts of yours, don't you see? They're really your fears coming out.
Dad was a psycho major in college. Skip the lecture, Dad, I told him. I'm going to bed.
Okay, sure,
he said, patting my shoulder.
Remember, in a few weeks you'll know I am right. In a few weeks the ghost messages will all seem silly to you. Boy, was he wrong.
Boy, was he wrong. I slammed my locker shut and started to put on my jacket. The long school hallway echoed with laughing voices, slamming lockers, call and shouts. The hall were always noisier on Friday afternoon. School was over and the weekend was here. Oh, what's that smell? I cried, making a disgusting face. Beside me, a girl was down on her knees, peering through a pile of junk on the floor of her rocker. I wonder where the apple disappeared, she examined. She climbed to her feet, holding a shriveled brown apple in one hand. The sour aroma invaded my nostrils. I thought I was going to hurl. I must have been making a funny face because she busted out laughing. Hungry! She pushed the disgusting thing in my face. No thanks, I pushed back towards her. You can have it. She laughed again. She was pretty, kind of pretty, but had long straight black hair and green eyes. She set the rotten apple down on the floor. You're the new kid, right? She asked. I'm Kim Lee Chin. Hi, I said. I told her my name. You're in my maths class and science class, I told her. She turned back to her locker, searching for more stuff. I know, she replied. I saw you falling out of your chair when Mr. Klein called on you. I just did that to be funny, I exclaimed. Quickly, I didn't really fall. I know, she said, pull a happy grey wool sweater down over her light sweater. Then she reached down and removed a black violin case from her locker. Is this your lunchbox? I joked. I'm late for my violin class, she answered. Slamming her locker shut, she struggled to pull the padlock closed. I'm taking piano lessons, I told her. Well, I just started. You know, I live across the street from you, she said, adjusting her bag over her shoulder. I wish you move in. Really? I replied, surprised. Well, maybe you could come over and we could play together. I mean, play music, you know. I am taking lessons every Saturday with Dr. Shriek. Her mouth, horrified, dropped open in horror as she stared at me. You are doing what? She answered. She cried. Taking piano lessons with Dr. Shriek, I repeated. Oh, she uttered a soft cry, spun around and began running towards the front door. Hey Kim, I called her. Kim, what's wrong? And she disappeared out the door. Chapter 8. Excellent hounds, Dr. Shriek declared. Thanks, I replied awkwardly. I was seated at the piano bench, hunched over the piano, my hands spread over the keys. Dr. Shriek stood beside me, staring down at my hands. Now, play the piano again, he instructed, raising his blue eyes to mine. His smile faded beneath his wide mustache as his expression turned serious. Play it carefully, my boy. Slow and carefully concentrate on your fingers. Each finger is alive, remember? Alive. My fingers are alive, I repeated, staring down at them. What a wrong, weird thought, I told myself. I began to play, concentrating on the notes on the piano sheet propped above the keyboard. It was a simple melody appearing in a speech by Bach. I thought it sounded pretty good. The fingers, Dr. Shriek cried. He leaned down towards the keyboard, bringing his face close to mine. Remember, the fingers are alive. What's with this guy and fingers? I asked myself. I finished the piece. I glanced up to see a frown dark his face. Pretty good, Jerry, he said softly. Now let us try it a bit fast. I gave him up the middle part. I confessed. You lost your concentration, he replied. He reached down and spread my fingers over the keys. Again, he instructed, but faster and concentrate. Concentrate on your hands. I took a deep breath and began the piece again, but the time I messed it up immediately. I started over. It sounded pretty good, only a few cluckers. I wondered if Mom and Dad could hear it. Then I remembered they had grocery shopping. Dr. Shriek and I were alone in the house. I finished the piece and lowered my hands to my lap with a sigh. Not bad. Now faster, Dr. Shriek ordered. Maybe we should try another piece, I suggested. This is getting kind of boring. Faster this time, he replied, totally ignoring me. The hands, Jerry. You remember the hounds, they are alive. Let them breathe. Let them breathe? I stared down at my hands, expecting them to talk back to me.
Begin.
Dr. Shriek instructed, sternly leaning over me.
Faster.
Sighing, I began to play again, the same boring tune.
Faster.
The instructor cried.
Faster, Jerry.
I played faster, my fingers moved over the keys, pounding them hard, trying to concentrate on the notes, but I was playing too fast for my eyes to keep up.
Faster.
Dr. Shriek cried, excitedly, staring down at the keyboard.
That's it. Faster, Jerry.
My fingers were moving so fast they were a blur.
Faster, faster.
Was I playing the right notes? I couldn't tell. It was too fast to hear.
Faster, Jerry.
Dr. Shriek instructed, screaming at the top of his lungs.
Faster.
The hands are alive! Alive! I can't do it. I cried, please.
Faster, faster.
I can't do it. I insisted. It was too fast to play, too fast to hear. I tried to stop. But my hands kept going. Stop, stop, I screamed down at them in horror. Faster, play, faster. Dr. Shriek ordered, his eyes wide with excitement, his face bright red. The hands are alive. No, please stop, I called down to my hands. Stop playing. But they are alive, we are alive. They wouldn't stop. My fingers flew over the keys, a crazy tidal over wave of notes floated in the family room. Faster, faster, the instructor ordered, and despite my frightening cries to stop, my hands gratefully obeyed him, playing on faster and faster and faster. Chapter 9.
Faster and faster and faster. The music swirled around me. It's choking me. I thought I'd gasp for breath. I can't breathe. I struggled to stop my hands, but they moved frantically on the keyboard, playing louder, louder.
My hands began to ache, through sobbed with pain, but they still played faster and louder until I woke up. I sat up in bed wide awake. I realized I was sitting on my hands. They both jingled painfully, pins and needles. My hands had fallen asleep. I had been asleep. The weird piano lesson, it was a dream, a strange nightmare. It's still Friday night, I said aloud. The sound of my voice helped bring me out of the dream. I shook my hands, trying to get the circulation going, trying to stop the uncomfortable tingling. My forehead was sweating, a cold sweat. My entire body felt clammy. The pajamas shirt stuck damply to my back. I shuddered, suddenly chilled, and realized the piano music hadn't stopped. I gasped and gripped the pad covers tightly, holding my breath. I listened. The notes floated into my dark bedroom. Not the frantic row of notes from my dream, the slow and sad melody I had heard before. Still trembling my frightening dream, I climbed silently out of bed. The music floated up from the family room, so soft, so mournful. Who was playing down there? My hands still tingled as I made my way over the cold floorboards to the doorway. I stopped in the hallway and listened. The tune ended, then began again. Tonight I'm going to solve this mystery, I told myself. My heart was pounding, my entire body was tingling, now pins and needles up and down my back. Ignoring how frightened I felt, I walked quickly down the hallway to the stairway. The dim night light down near the floor made my shadow rise up on the wall. It startled me for a moment. I hugged back, but then I hurried down the stairs, leaning hard on the banister to keep the step from creaking. The piano music grew wider as I crossed the dark living room. Nothing is going to stop me tonight, I told myself. Nothing. Tonight I'm going to see who is playing the piano. The music continued, soft high notes, so light and sad. I tiptoed carefully through the dining room, holding my breath, listening to the music. I stepped up to the doorway to the family room. The music continued a little louder, with the same melody over and over, peering into the darkness. I stepped into the room. One step, another. The piano was only a 5 feet in front of me. The music was so clear, so close, but I could see anyone on the bench. I could see anyone there at all. Who's playing? Who's playing the sad, sad music in the darkness? Trembling all over, I took another step closer. Another. Who's there? I called out in a choked whisper. I stopped my hands floating tensely into the tight fist at my side. I stared hard into the darkness, straining to see. The music continued. I could hear the fingers on the keys, hear the